I'm Camille. I'm 28 years old. And 3 months ago, my parents told me they couldn't afford to help with my wedding. On the exact same day, they bought my sister a $200,000 condo in Buckhead. I didn't find out right away. I should have. But when you've spent your whole life being the responsible one, the one who doesn't ask for much, you stop expecting red flags. You just believe what they tell you. It started with a phone call. I was at my apartment near Piedmont Park, knee-deep in wedding binders, spreadsheets, and deposit deadlines. My fiancé, Marcus, was at work. I was trying to figure out how to cut another $3,000 from the catering budget without making our reception look like a potluck. My phone rang. Mom. Camille, your father and I need to talk to you. Her voice had that tone. The one she used when she was about to deliver bad news but wanted credit for being honest. What's up? I asked, already bracing myself. It's about the wedding. I set down my pen. Okay. Your father and I have been talking, and we've decided we can't contribute financially. The words landed like stones. Wait, what? We just don't have it right now, sweetheart. Things are tight. The church building fund, the roof repairs, your sister's situation, it's all adding up. We thought we'd be able to help, but we can't. My chest tightened. Mom, I sent you the budget 2 months ago. You said you'd cover the venue deposit. That's $5,000. The contract's already signed. I know, and I'm sorry. But we have to be realistic. A wedding is a luxury, Camille. It's one day. You'll understand when you're older. I was 28. She made me feel like I was asking for a pony. I'm not asking you to pay for the whole thing, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Just what you committed to. We never committed to anything, she said, her voice cooling. We said we'd help if we could, and we can't. You're gonna have to figure it out. I heard my father's voice in the background, low, impatient. Is that Dad? I asked. Yes, and he agrees. We're not in a position to fund a big event right now. Maybe you and Marcus can scale back, do something smaller, more intimate. More intimate. Translation: cheaper, quieter, less visible. I have to go, I said. Camille, don't be dramatic. This is part of being an adult. Not everything goes the way you want. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I sat there for a long time, staring at the budget spreadsheet on my laptop. The venue deposit was due in 2 weeks. If I didn't pay it, we'd lose the date. Lose the space. Start over. Marcus and I had been saving for a year. We'd stretched every dollar, and I'd believed, foolishly, that my parents would keep their word. But here's the thing about my family. My parents, Deacon Raymond Harper and First Lady Lorraine Harper, were community pillars. They ran the youth ministry. They hosted fundraisers. They smiled for the church directory every year like they were on a magazine cover. And they made sure everyone knew how generous they were. Except when it came to me. That same afternoon, I was driving to meet Marcus for lunch near Ponce de Leon when I saw it. My sister's car, parked outside a real estate office in Buckhead. And standing next to her, all smiles, were my parents. I slowed down, pulled into a nearby lot, watched. They were holding a folder. Brielle was bouncing on her heels, grinning like she'd won the lottery. My mother hugged her. My father shook hands with a man in a suit, probably the realtor. Then Brielle held up a set of keys. Keys. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my phone and opened Instagram. And there it was. A post from my sister, uploaded 12 minutes ago. A photo of her holding those same keys, standing in front of a sleek Buckhead high-rise. The caption read, "New chapter home sparkles. God is so good. Blessed beyond measure. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for believing in me. Hashtag Buckhead living. Hashtag grateful. Hashtag blessed." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. The timestamp. Today. The same day they told me they couldn't afford my wedding. Before I take you back to what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe to Revenge Bite, but only if this story genuinely resonates with you. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from right now. Drop your location and your local time in the comments. Now, let me take you back to the moment I realized I'd been lied to. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes, phone in hand, reading the post over and over. The comments were already pouring in. Congratulations, Brielle, you deserve it! Your parents are amazing! So proud of you, girl. I scroll to my mother's comment. Our baby girl is growing up red heart. We're so proud to support you in this next chapter. Love you forever. Support. The word burned. They couldn't afford my wedding, but they could afford a down payment on a $200,000 condo. I took a screenshot, saved it. Then I sat there, hands shaking, trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted there to be an explanation, a reason, something that made sense. So I called my sister. She picked up on the third ring. What's up? She said, voice bright, almost sing-song. I saw your post, I said. Oh my God, right? Isn't it amazing? I literally can't believe it. Mom and Dad came through. They bought you a condo? Well, they helped with the down payment. But yeah, basically, it's in Buckhead. 2 bedrooms, a balcony, granite countertops. I'm obsessed. My throat tightened. That's great, Brielle. I know, right? I've been manifesting this for months. And honestly, they said they wanted to invest in my future. You know, help me build equity instead of throwing money away on rent. I paused. When did they tell you they'd help? Like 2 weeks ago? Why? 2 weeks ago. Right around the time they told me the venue deposit was too much to commit to. No reason, I said. Congrats. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, you're still doing that big wedding, right? Because I already told people I'm going to be in it. Don't make it weird by downsizing or whatever. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I'll let you know, I said. Cool. Love you. Bye. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there in the parking lot, staring at my phone, replaying her words. Don't make it weird by downsizing. She knew. She knew they'd told me no. And she didn't care. I didn't tell Marcus right away. I didn't know how. How do you explain to the man you're about to marry that your parents lied to your face, funded your sister's entire future, and expected you to just accept it? That night, I sat on our couch, staring at the wedding binder and tried to make the numbers work. They didn't. Without the venue deposit my parents had promised, we were $5,000 short, and that was just the beginning. The catering balance was due in 6 weeks. The photographer needed half up front. The florist wanted a deposit by the end of the month. I opened my laptop and started cutting. Cheaper flowers, smaller guest list, no live band, just a playlist. Every cut felt like a piece of the day I'd imagined disappearing. Marcus came home around 9. He took one look at me and sat down. What's wrong? I handed him my phone, showed him Brielle's post. He read it, then looked at me. Your parents bought her a condo? Down payment, but yeah. The same day they told you. Yep. He set the phone down. His jaw tightened. Camille, I know. That's not okay. I know. He pulled me into his chest. I didn't cry. I was too angry to cry. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know yet, I said, but I'm not begging them for anything. Marcus nodded. Good. We'll figure it out. But 2 days later, the pressure started. It came in waves. First, it was my mother. She called while I was at work. "Camille, I heard from the venue. They said you haven't paid the deposit yet. Is everything okay?" I kept my voice even. "I'm working on it." "Well, don't wait too long. You don't want to lose the date?" "I won't." "And listen, your father and I were talking. If you're struggling, maybe you should consider something simpler. A backyard wedding. Or a small ceremony at the church. People will understand." "Mom, I don't want a backyard wedding." "Well, you might not have a choice. You can't expect people to fund a party you can't afford." People. She meant them. But she wouldn't say it. "I'll handle it," I said. "Don't be prideful, Camille. Pride comes before a fall." She hung up before I could respond. The next wave came from Brielle. She sent a message to the family group chat. "Can't wait for Camille's wedding. Ring. Going to be so beautiful. She's always been so good at making things work on a budget. Hashtag budget bride. Hashtags hestriing." I stared at the message. Budget bride. My cousin Kiara responded with a crying, laughing emoji. Aunt Nadine wrote, "She'll figure it out. She always does." I turned my phone face down and went back to work. The third wave came from the church. First Lady Denise Caldwell, my mother's best friend and the church's unofficial gossip queen, stopped me after Sunday service. "Camille, honey, I heard about the wedding." "What about it?" I asked, already bracing. "Well, your mama mentioned you're having some financial trouble. I just want you to know, we've all been there. Don't be embarrassed." I wasn't embarrassed. I was furious. "I'm fine, Miss Denise, but thank you." "Of course, sweetheart. And listen, if you need to scale back, no one will judge you. A wedding is just a day. What matters is the marriage." She smiled, patted my hand, walked away. I stood there in the church lobby, surrounded by people who thought they knew my story. But they didn't. Because my mother had already written it for them. That night, I got a call from the venue coordinator, Elena Park. "Hi, Camille. Just checking in on the deposit. We're 2 weeks out from the deadline. After that, we'll have to release the date." "I know," I said. "I'm working on it." "Okay, just wanted to make sure you're aware we have other couples interested in that weekend." "I understand. Thank you." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Marcus came in, saw my face, and sat down beside me. "We'll figure it out," he said again. But I was tired of figuring it out. I was tired of being the one who had to make it work while my sister got everything handed to her. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshot of Brielle's post. Same day. Same lie. And suddenly, I realized something. They didn't say no because they didn't have the money. They said no because they didn't think I was worth it. And if that was true, I needed to know why. I needed proof. Not just a screenshot of an Instagram post, not just a sinking feeling in my gut. I needed facts. Because if I was going to confront my parents, or even just confront the truth, I had to be sure. So I did something I'm not proud of. I went digging. It started small. I called the realtor's office in Buckhead, the one I'd seen my parents standing outside. I pretended I was interested in the same building. "Hi, I saw a listing for a condo in that building. A 2-bedroom? I think it just sold." The receptionist was friendly. Too friendly. "Oh yes, we just closed on a unit last week. Beautiful space. Are you looking in that price range?" "Around $200,000? I asked, testing. "Actually, that one went for $215,000. Great deal for the area." My chest tightened. $215,000? Yep, cash buyer helped with the down payment, so it closed fast. "Are you pre-approved?" I mumbled something and hung up. $215,000. Not $200,000. More. I opened my laptop and pulled up the county property records. Public information. Anyone could search. I typed in Brielle's name. Nothing. I typed in my parents' names. And there it was. Property address, 2850, Peachtree Road, NW, Unit 804, Atlanta, Georgia, 30305. Sale date, October 14th, 2025. Sale price, $215,000. Buyer, Brielle Harper. Cosigner/down payment contributor, Raymond Harper, Lorraine Harper. I stared at the screen. October 14th. The same day they told me they couldn't afford my wedding. The same day. I took a screenshot, saved it. Then I sat back and let the weight of it settle. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't bad timing. This was a choice. They had $215,000 to invest in Brielle's future. But they couldn't spare $5,000 to keep their word to me. I felt something crack inside my chest, not anger yet, something colder. Clarity. If you've ever been told by your own family that you're not enough while watching them give everything to someone else, type "I understand" in the comments. And if you want me to keep going, drop a like so I know you're still here with me. I called Marcus. He picked up on the first ring. You okay? I need you to come home. What happened? I found proof. 20 minutes later, Marcus was sitting next to me on the couch, staring at the property record on my laptop. They co-signed, he said quietly, and funded the down payment. How much was the down payment? I pulled up a mortgage calculator, probably around $40,000, maybe more. Marcus leaned back, rubbing his face. Camille, I know. We don't have the money. We don't want to spend it on you. I nodded. My throat was too tight to speak. What do you want to do? He asked. I want to ask them why. And if they lie again, then I'll know exactly who they are. The next morning, I called my mother. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and unbothered. Good morning, sweetheart. Mom, I need to ask you something. Of course. What's on your mind? I kept my voice steady, calm. Did you and Dad help Brielle buy a condo? Silence. Then, where did you hear that? Instagram, county property records. Take your pick. More silence. Camille, I don't appreciate the tone. I'm not using a tone, I'm asking a question. She sighed. The long, disappointed sigh I'd heard my entire life. Yes, we helped her with the down payment. How much? That's between us and your sister. Was it more than $5,000? Pause. Camille. Was it? Yes. The word sat between us like a lit fuse. So you had money, I said. You just didn't want to spend it on my wedding. It's not that simple. It sounds pretty simple to me. Your sister needed stability, my mother said, her voice hardening. She's younger. She's still figuring things out. We wanted to give her a foundation. Something that would grow in value. A wedding is one day, Camille. A home is an investment. So I'm not worth investing in. Don't twist my words. I'm not twisting anything. You told me you couldn't afford to help. That same day, you bought her a condo. We didn't buy it. We helped. With $40,000. Silence. How do you know that number? She asked, her voice icy now. I did the math. You've been snooping. I've been trying to understand why my own parents lied to me. We didn't lie. We said we couldn't contribute to your wedding, and we can't. That money is tied up now. Tied up in Brielle's condo. Tied up in your sister's future, yes. I closed my eyes, took a breath. Mom, do you understand how this feels? I understand that you're jealous. The word hit like a slap. I'm not jealous. I'm hurt. Same thing, she said. You've always been sensitive about your sister. She's younger. She needs more support. You're older. You're getting married. You have Marcus. You'll be fine. That's not the point. Then what is the point, Camille? The point is, you made me a promise, and you broke it. And you didn't even have the decency to tell me the truth. My mother's voice turned cold. I don't owe you an explanation for how your father and I spend our money. You do when you promised it to me first. We never promised anything. We said we'd help if we could. We can't. End of discussion. You could. You just didn't want to. She didn't respond. Does Brielle know? I asked. Does she know you told me no? That's between you and your sister. She does. She knew the whole time. Still nothing. I have to go, my mother said. Your father and I have a church meeting. And she hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Marcus came over and sat beside me. What did she say? That Brielle needed it more. That I'm jealous. That they don't owe me an explanation. Camille? I'm done, Marcus. He looked at me. Done with what? Done asking. Done hoping. Done pretending they're gonna show up for me. He squeezed my hand. Okay, so what now? I looked at the property record still open on my laptop. At the date. At the numbers. Now, I said, I plan this wedding without them, and I make sure everyone knows exactly what they did. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're going to tell people? Not yet, but I'm not protecting them anymore. He nodded slowly. I'm with you, whatever you need. I leaned into him and let myself breathe. Because I wasn't the villain here, and I wasn't going to let them make me feel like one. I thought the worst was over. I thought once I confirmed the truth, I could move on, focus on the wedding, focus on Marcus, focus on the life we were building together. But I underestimated how much my family hated being called out. It started with a text from my father. Your mother is very upset. You need to apologize. I stared at the message. Apologize? For what? For noticing? For asking questions? I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another text, this time from Brielle. Why are you making this about you? I worked hard for that condo. Stop being jealous. Worked hard. She was 24. She'd been in and out of jobs for 2 years. She still asked my parents for grocery money. But sure, she worked hard. I ignored her too. Then the calls started. My mother, my father, Aunt Nadine, Kiara, all of them with the same message. You're being dramatic, you're being selfish, you're embarrassing the family. I didn't answer any of them. But that night, I got a message in the family group chat. It was from my mother. Family, I want to address something that's been weighing on my heart. There's been some tension lately, and I think it's important we all remember what it means to be grateful. We've been so blessed. Let's not let jealousy and pride divide us. Love you all, Red Heart. I read it 3 times. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. Everyone knew. Kiara responded first. Amen, Auntie. Some people need to hear this. Aunt Nadine, so true. Jealousy is poison. Brielle, love you, Mom. Red Heart, thank you for always keeping it real. I turned my phone off. The next day, my father called. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message. Camille, this is your father. Your mother is beside herself. I don't know what's gotten into you, but this behavior is unacceptable. You're acting like a child. You need to apologize to your mother and your sister. And if you keep this up, don't expect us to show up to your wedding. Call me back." I saved the voicemail. Then I called Marcus. "They're threatening not to come to the wedding." "Good," he said. "Let them stay home." "Marcus." "I'm serious, Camille. If they're going to guilt you, manipulate you, and punish you for asking a fair question, then they don't deserve to be there." I knew he was right, but it still hurt. That Sunday, I didn't go to church. I couldn't face it. The whispers, the looks, my mother's performance. But Marcus went. He wanted to see what people were saying. He came back 2 hours later, jaw tight. "What happened?" I asked. "Your mother made an announcement." "What kind of announcement?" "She said the family is going through a difficult season, that some people are struggling with jealousy and ingratitude, and she asked the church to pray for unity and healing." My stomach dropped. She didn't. She did, and people were eating it up. First Lady Denise was crying. Your aunt was nodding along. Your mom positioned herself as the victim. Of course she did. Marcus sat down beside me. "Camille, they're trying to turn everyone against you." "I know. So what are you going to do?" I thought about it. I thought about the lies, the manipulation, the favoritism, the gaslighting, and I realized something. They thought I'd break. They thought I'd apologize, beg for forgiveness, and fall back in line. But I wasn't that person anymore. "I'm going to plan my wedding," I said, "without them, without their money, without their approval." Marcus smiled. "That's my girl." "And when it's done," I continued, "I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what happened. Not out of revenge, just truth." "You sure about that?" "I'm sure." Because the truth was simple. They had $40,000 for Brielle's condo, but they couldn't spare $5,000 to keep their word to me. And if they wanted to paint me as the villain, fine. But I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. I woke up the next morning and made a decision. I wasn't going to beg my parents for anything. Not money, not approval, not even an explanation. I was done. Marcus was already up, making coffee in the kitchen. He looked at me when I walked in. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm done fighting them." He handed me a mug. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm going to plan this wedding without them. No compromises, no guilt, just us." He smiled. "I like the sound of that." I pulled out my laptop and opened the budget spreadsheet. The one I'd been staring at for weeks, trying to make impossible numbers work. But this time, I looked at it differently. I didn't need their $5,000. I needed a better plan. I started making calls. First, I called the venue coordinator, Elena Park. "Elena, it's Camille Harper. I wanted to talk about the deposit." "Of course. Are you ready to move forward?" "Yes, but I need to know, do you offer payment plans?" There was a pause. Then, "We don't usually, but let me talk to my manager." "Can I call you back?" "Please." She called back 30 minutes later. "Okay, so here's what we can do. If you pay half the deposit now and the other half in 3 weeks, we can hold your date." I exhaled. "That works. Thank you." "No problem. I'll send over the updated contract." One problem solved. Next, I called the photographer, Jalen Brooks. "Jalen, it's Camille. I'm still locked in for the wedding, but I need to adjust the payment schedule. Can we do 30% now and the rest closer to the date?" "Let me check." I heard him typing. "Yeah, I can do that. You've been great to work with. I'll make it work." "Thank you. I really appreciate it." "No worries. We got you." 2 down. Then I called Sasha Monroe, the wedding planner I'd hired early on but had to pause working with because of budget concerns. "Sasha, it's Camille. I know I said I couldn't afford full planning services, but I need help. What's the smallest package you offer? I can do day of coordination, she said. It's $1, $200, covers the rehearsal and the full wedding day. I'll make sure everything runs smoothly so you don't have to stress. That's perfect. Let's do it. Done. I'll send the contract tonight. I hung up and looked at Marcus. We're doing this, I said. Hell yeah, we are. But the biggest shift wasn't logistical. It was emotional. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes, hoping my parents would apologize. I stopped refreshing the family group chat, waiting for someone to defend me. I stopped caring what Brielle posted or what my mother said at church, because none of it mattered anymore. I wasn't planning a wedding to prove anything to them. I was planning it for me, for Marcus, for the life we were building together. And that realization felt like freedom. A week later, something unexpected happened. Marcus's parents called. His mom, Mrs. Reed, got straight to the point. Camille, Marcus told us what's been going on with your family. I tensed. He did? Yes. And we want to help. I blinked. Help how? We know your parents backed out, and we know you're scrambling to cover costs. We'd like to contribute to the catering. My throat tightened. Mrs. Reed, you don't have to. We want to. You're going to be our daughter, and we take care of family. I started crying before I could stop myself. Thank you, I whispered. You're welcome, baby. Now stop stressing and enjoy planning your day. When I told Marcus, he just smiled. I told you, he said. Real family shows up. By the end of the week, I'd rebuilt the wedding budget from the ground up. It wasn't the version I'd originally imagined, but it was ours. Smaller guest list, more intentional details, less about impressing people, more about celebrating the marriage. And the best part? I didn't owe anyone anything. Not my parents, not my sister, not the church. That's when I stopped asking and started building the wedding without them. Quick question. If someone who betrayed you tried to come back after you finally moved on, would you expose them at a public event? Or would you stay quiet and just cut them off? Comment expose or stay quiet. But even as I moved forward, I knew one thing. My parents weren't going to let this go quietly. They thrived on control, on image, on being seen as the generous, loving, church-going family. And I'd disrupted that narrative. So I started preparing. Not for revenge, not for drama, for truth. I saved every text, every voicemail, every receipt. The property record showing the condo purchase date. The Instagram post with the timestamp. The email where my mother confirmed they, quote, couldn't contribute. The family group chat messages. All of it. Because I knew eventually they were going to try to rewrite the story. And when they did, I'd be ready. Marcus noticed me organizing the files one night. You're building a case, he said. I'm protecting myself. Good, you should. I looked at him. Do you think I'm being petty? No, I think you're being smart. They've been controlling the narrative your whole life. It's time you took it back. He was right. This wasn't about revenge. It was about making sure the truth couldn't be buried. 2 weeks before the wedding, I got a text from my mother. Your father and I have decided we'll attend the wedding. We don't want people talking, but we expect you to seat us appropriately and acknowledge us during the reception. This is a family event, and we won't be disrespected. I read it 3 times. Then I showed Marcus. They're not coming because they want to celebrate you, he said. They're coming to save face. I know. So what are you going to do? I thought about it. I could uninvite them. I could tell them no. But that would give them exactly what they wanted, an excuse to play the victim. So I made a different choice. They can come, I said. But they don't get a speech, they don't get special seating, and if they cause a scene, they're gone. Marcus nodded. I'll make sure of it. I texted my mother back. You're welcome to attend, but this is my wedding, not a performance. She didn't respond, but I knew she'd show up. Because image was everything to her. And I was about to make sure the image she'd built for herself cracked wide open. 3 days before the wedding, my mother made her move. It started with a phone call from First Lady Denise Caldwell. Camille, honey, your mother told me the sweetest thing. I braced myself. What's that? She said she and your father have been working so hard behind the scenes to make sure your wedding is beautiful. She's so humble, she didn't want to take credit. But I told her, Lorraine, people need to know how much you've sacrificed for this day. My stomach dropped. Miss Denise, I'm not sure what she told you, but... Oh, don't be modest, baby. Your mother said they've been covering vendors, helping with arrangements. She even said they're giving a toast at the reception to honor you and Marcus. I'm so glad you two worked things out. I closed my eyes. A toast. Of course. Miss Denise, I appreciate you calling, but I need to go. Of course, sweetheart. See you at the wedding? She hung up before I could correct her. I immediately called Marcus. They're lying. About what? Everything. My mother is telling people they've been helping, that they're paying for things. And now she's planning a toast. Are you serious? Dead serious. Marcus exhaled. So what do you want to do? I want to stop her, but if I do, she'll make me look ungrateful. Then let her do the toast. I frowned. What? Let her do it. Let her get up there in front of everyone and take credit. And then, when it's your turn to speak, you tell the truth. I paused. You think I should call her out? At my own wedding? I think you should tell your story and let people decide who's telling the truth. I thought about it. It was risky. It was bold. But it was also the only way to stop her from controlling the narrative. Okay, I said. I'll do it. The next day, I got a message in the family group chat. It was from my mother. So excited for Camille's big day. Red heart, your father and I are so proud to have been part of bringing this dream to life. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone. Part of bringing this dream to life. She was already rewriting history. Aunt Nadine commented, You two are amazing parents. Camille is so blessed. Kiara, best parents ever, red heart. Brielle, love this for you guys. I didn't respond, but I took a screenshot. That night, my mother called. Camille, I wanted to confirm the seating arrangements. Your father and I will need to be at the head table, of course. And I'll need the microphone for the toast during dinner. Mom, the head table is just me, Marcus, and the bridal party. Well, we're family. We should be front and center. You'll be seated with the rest of the family. It's already arranged. Silence. Camille, people expect to see us prominently displayed. This reflects on us too, you know? This is my wedding, not a church function. Her voice cooled. I'm just trying to make sure things look appropriate. They will. And the toast? I hesitated. You can speak, but keep it short. Of course. I just want to honor you and Marcus. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there, staring at my phone. She wasn't going to honor us. She was going to perform. The day before the wedding, my sister called. Hey, so I need a favor. What kind of favor? I need you to introduce me during the reception. Like, make a big deal about me being your sister and how close we are. It'll look good for my social media. I almost laughed. Brielle, this is my wedding. I know, but I'm your sister. People expect me to be highlighted. No. Camille, don't be weird about this. I'm not being weird. I'm saying no. She huffed. Whatever. I'll just post my own content then. And she hung up. I turned to Marcus, who'd been listening to the whole conversation. She wanted you to promote her at your wedding? Yep. He shook his head. Your family is unreal. I know. But you're handling it. I'm trying. He pulled me close. Tomorrow we get married, and after that none of this matters anymore. I wanted to believe him. But I knew my mother. And I knew she wasn't done yet. The morning of the wedding, I got a text from my father. Your mother has prepared a beautiful speech for tonight. She's very emotional. Please make sure she has time to share her heart. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the text to Marcus. His reply was immediate. Don't worry, I've got this. That afternoon, while I was getting ready with my bridesmaids, Marcus met with the DJ and the wedding planner, Sasha. If my in-laws try to take the mic without permission, he said, cut the sound. Sasha raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Seriously. This is Camille's day, not theirs. Understood. By the time I walked down the aisle that evening, I felt calm. Not because I knew everything would go smoothly, but because I knew no matter what happened, I wasn't going to let them steal this moment. And when my mother stood up at the reception, microphone in hand, smiling like she'd orchestrated the whole thing, I was ready. The reception was beautiful. String lights hung from the ceiling of the ballroom in Midtown. Tables were decorated with soft ivory linens and gold accents. Our friends and family filled the room with laughter and music. For a few hours, I forgot about everything else. Marcus and I danced. We laughed. We soaked in every moment. But I knew it was coming. I could see my mother across the room, checking her phone, adjusting her dress, whispering to my father. She was preparing. Waiting for her moment. It came during dinner. Sasha, the wedding planner, approached me quietly. Your mom just asked the DJ for the mic. She says she wants to give a toast. I looked at Marcus. He squeezed my hand. You ready? He asked. I nodded. Let her go first. Sasha hesitated. You sure? I'm sure. A moment later, the DJ's voice came through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special toast from the mother of the bride, Mrs. Lorraine Harper. Applause rippled through the room. My mother stood, smoothing her dress, and walked to the front with the microphone. She was glowing, confident, performing. Good evening, everyone, she said, her voice warm and practiced. I'm so honored to be here tonight to celebrate my beautiful daughter, Camille, and her wonderful husband, Marcus. More applause. I sat at the head table, hands folded in my lap, watching. When Camille first told us she was getting married, my mother continued, Raymond and I were overjoyed. We've watched her grow into such a strong, independent woman. And we've been so blessed to be part of this journey with her. I felt my jaw tighten. Part of this journey. Planning a wedding is no small feat, she said, smiling at the crowd. And as parents, we wanted to make sure Camille had everything she needed to make this day special. It wasn't always easy. There were sacrifices, late nights, tough decisions. But we did it because that's what family does. Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. Aunt Nadine dabbed her eyes with a napkin. First Lady Denise nodded approvingly. My mother's smile widened. Raymond and I are so proud of the woman Camille has become, and we're so grateful we could support her in making this day everything she dreamed of. She raised her glass. To Camille and Marcus, may your marriage be filled with love, faith, and the kind of family support that never wavers. The room erupted in applause. People stood, glasses clinked. My mother beamed. She handed the microphone back to the DJ and walked back to her seat, glowing with pride. I looked at Marcus. He looked at me. "Now?" he asked quietly. "Now." I stood up. Sasha appeared at my side with the microphone. "You've got this," she whispered. I took the mic and walked to the front of the room. The applause faded. People settled back into their seats, smiling, expecting a sweet thank you speech. I took a breath. "Thank you all so much for being here tonight," I said, my voice steady. "Marcus and I are so grateful to be surrounded by people who love and support us." Nods. Smiles. "I also want to thank my mother for that beautiful toast." My mother smiled, nodding graciously. "It was really touching," I continued, "especially the part about sacrifice and support." I paused. The room was silent now, attentive. "But I think it's important to be honest about how this wedding came together." My mother's smile faltered. 3 months ago, I asked my parents if they could help with the wedding. Specifically, they'd promised to cover the venue deposit, $5,000. I'd already signed the contract based on that promise. I saw a few people shift in their seats. But on October 14th, my parents called me and said they couldn't afford to contribute. They told me a wedding was a luxury, that I needed to scale back, that I was being unrealistic. The room was completely silent now. That same day, October 14th, they bought my sister a $200,000 condo in Buckhead. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother stood up. "Camille." I kept going. "I have the property records. I have the Instagram post with the timestamp. Same day, same signatures." I pulled out my phone and held it up. "I'm not sharing this to embarrass anyone. I'm sharing it because for the last 3 months, I've been told I'm jealous, ungrateful, dramatic. And tonight, my mother stood up here and told you all that she and my father sacrificed to make this day happen." I looked directly at her. "But the truth is, they didn't contribute a single dollar to this wedding. Not one. This day was paid for by me, Marcus, and his parents, who offered to help without being asked, because that's what real family does." My mother's face had gone pale. My father stood up beside her, his jaw tight. "Camille, this is inappropriate," he said, his voice low and sharp. "No, Dad. What's inappropriate is lying. What's inappropriate is rewriting history to make yourselves look generous when you weren't." The room was frozen. First Lady Denise had her hand over her mouth. Aunt Nadine looked like she'd been slapped. Brielle sat with her arms crossed, glaring at me. "I loved you both," I said, my voice cracking now. "I wanted you to be proud of me. I wanted you to show up for me, the way you showed up for Brielle. But you didn't. And instead of owning that, you tried to make me feel like I was the problem." My mother's eyes filled with tears. But they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of anger. "You're ruining your own wedding," she hissed. "No, Mom, I'm telling the truth. There's a difference." I handed the microphone back to Sasha and walked back to the head table. The room was still silent. Then, slowly, Marcus stood up and started clapping. His parents joined him. Then my bridesmaids. Then a few cousins I'd grown up with. Then more. And more. Until half the room was applauding. Not for my mother's performance. For the truth. My parents stood there, frozen, as people began whispering, pulling out their phones, checking Instagram, confirming the dates. And then, without a word, my mother grabbed her purse and walked out. My father followed. Brielle stormed out behind them. The door slammed. And the room exhaled. Sasha appeared at my side. "You okay?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "Yeah, I'm okay." Marcus pulled me into his arms. "You did it," he whispered. I did. And for the first time in months, I felt free. The rest of the reception was a blur. After my parents left, the energy shifted. People came up to me, hugging me, telling me they were proud. A few family members apologized for not seeing it sooner. Others admitted they'd always felt the favoritism, but didn't know how to say anything. Marcus's mom hugged me and whispered, "You did the right thing." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. We danced, we laughed, we celebrated. Not because we'd won some battle, but because we were finally free to be ourselves. The next morning, I woke up in our honeymoon suite to 47 missed calls and 83 text messages. I didn't read most of them, but I read a few. From Aunt Nadine, "You embarrassed your mother in front of everyone. You owe her an apology." From Kiara, "I can't believe you aired out family business like that. So disrespectful." From Brielle, "You're dead to me. Hope it was worth it." And finally, from my mother, "I will never forgive you for what you did. You've destroyed this family." I showed Marcus. He shook his head. "They still don't get it." "No, they don't." "So what are you going to do?" I thought about it. I thought about the years of favoritism, the lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. And I realized something. I didn't owe them an apology. I didn't owe them access. I didn't owe them anything. "I'm going to set a boundary," I said. "What kind of boundary?" "The kind that protects my peace." That afternoon, I sent a group text to my parents and Brielle. "I understand you're upset about what I said at the wedding, but everything I shared was the truth. I didn't do it to hurt you. I did it to stop the lies. Moving forward, I need space. I won't be attending family events, and I won't be responding to calls or messages that are manipulative or accusatory. If you want a relationship with me, it will be built on honesty and respect, not control." I hit send and turned off my phone. Marcus looked at me. "How do you feel?" "Lighter." "Good." We spent the rest of the day walking around Atlanta, eating, laughing, talking about the future. And for the first time in months, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. A week later, I got a call from my father. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Hello? Camille, it's Dad." "I know." Silence. "Your mother wants to talk." "I'm listening." "She says she wants to apologize for the way things went, for not being more supportive." I paused. "Does she? Or do you want me to think she does?" More silence. "Camille, you humiliated us." And there it was. Not remorse, not understanding, just wounded pride. "Dad, I told the truth. If that humiliated you, that's not my fault. You could have talked to us privately. I tried, you lied, you gaslit me. You told everyone I was jealous. We were trying to protect the family." "No, you were trying to protect your image." He didn't respond. "If Mom wants to apologize," I said, "she can call me herself, but I'm not chasing forgiveness for telling the truth." "You're being stubborn." "I'm being honest." He hung up. I set the phone down and looked at Marcus. "They're not going to change," I said. "I know." "So what now?" "Now," he said, "you live your life without them and you build the family you deserve." I nodded. Because he was right. I couldn't change them, but I could change what I accepted. And I was done accepting crumbs from people who gave whole meals to everyone else. 2 months later, Brielle tried to reach out. She sent a message on Instagram. "Hey, I know things have been weird. But I'm redecorating the condo, and I need help with furniture. You've always had good taste. Can you send me some recs? I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger, out of clarity. Because I finally understood. They didn't want a relationship. They wanted access. And I was done being available to people who only showed up when they needed something. Be honest. If you outgrew the people who tried to break you and they came back only after you won, would you forgive them? Or would you keep a strict boundary? Comment, forgive, or boundary. So that's my story. 3 months ago, my parents told me they couldn't afford my wedding. On the same day, they bought my sister a $200,000 condo. They lied. They manipulated. They tried to rewrite history. But I didn't let them. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I refused to protect people who wouldn't protect me. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, if you've ever been the other child, the one who's expected to understand, to sacrifice, to settle, I need you to hear this. You're not asking for too much. You're not being dramatic. And you don't owe loyalty to people who've never been loyal to you. Setting a boundary isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply refusing to shrink anymore. If you want more stories like this on Revenge Bite, where karma doesn't beg, it collects, subscribe and turn on notifications. Another one is coming, and it's even colder. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of yourself.